Now, anyone who knows me knows that I'm not a Unicron Trilogy fan at all. I can't stand the fiction. I think it's a black eye on Transformers. But that's not to say that the products that were offered during that era aren't pretty fantastic. Case in point, Bruticus Maximus, a Bruticus by any other name. Is this just as good as any other Bruticus? I don't know, but we're going to find out together in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you are at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, man. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below, also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course, hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And this is Bruticus Maximus. Now, I don't know a lot about this. I know that the guy is supposed to be very loyal to Galvatron in protecting Super Energon. I'll talk about that a little bit more later. I look at this and my first thought is, that's not really Bruticus, now is it? And I feel like it's one of those names that was just haphazardly applied, as is the case for a lot of the individual members. I've said it before, I don't care for the fiction, I don't like the fiction, I don't like what they do with names and whatnot. However, I'm going to try and give the bots the respect that they deserve, because they might just be pretty terrific. The way I'm going to do this is we're actually going to kind of do, we're going to do one of the tanks, because both tanks transform the same. We're going to do one of the helicopters, because they transform the same. And then of course we'll do the main torso. I think his name is Barricade. Go figure. Why it's not Onslaught, I don't know. And of course, finally, I'll kind of overview the full combined mode. This is quite aged now, but how good is it? Well, we're about to find out together when you and I head over to the table and take a closer look at this set. Now, here's something I never ever thought that I would take a look at, courtesy of our buddy Maximal10. This is Bruticus Maximus from Transformers Energon. And anybody who knows me knows that I think that the Unicron Trilogy is the, bar none, worst fiction in all of Transformers. I can't follow it at all. I own it. I've tried to watch it. It's gobbledygook. It was rushed production. I feel bad for the voice actors because they had terrible scripts to work with. I don't understand the appeal of it. However, as I say that about the fiction, I understand that a lot of people really enjoy the offerings and the characters from that time. I'm going to use the next few reviews when I look at some of the Energon combiners to sort of explain a little bit as we go why I just can't get on board with Unicron Trilogy. This is Bruticus Maximus. To me, Bruticus is, you know, made up of the 5 Combaticons, right? Whether we're talking G1 or whether we're talking Fall of Cybertron or whatever. To me, Bruticus is made up of the 5 Combaticons. Cool, we have 5 bots here, no problem. I don't know, I don't dig the Maximus addition to it. However, he's always been somewhat his own guy and somewhat belligerent. This version of Bruticus is very loyal to Galvatron, and for some weird reason, instead of working all together with Superion Maximus and Constructicon Maximus to protect the Super Energon, this guy and Constructicon Maximus decide, hey, we're going to be loyal to Galvatron, so that, I don't know, he can bathe in it eventually. And the only way he's stopped is because Optimus becomes like Super Omega Optimus or something when he combines with Omega Supreme. And yeah, it was the typical Japanese fiction trope of, well, to beat the bad guy, you make it super, bigger, more impressive, ultra, whatever. That's fine if that's your thing. It doesn't land with me fiction-wise. But are the bots good? Well, I'm going to try and do this as quickly as I possibly can. First thing to note, right here in the center we have Barricade, not Onslaught, Barricade. We don't really get a whole lot of characterization for him. Then let's make sure I'm getting this right now. Then, yeah, this guy here, who can be a leg or an arm, by the way. I have him left in leg mode. We'll see this guy become the arm. But this guy is, Blight, Blackout. Apparently, I mean, to me it looks more like Vortex, but okay, it's Blackout. And we all know Blackout is either a helicopter like from the live action, or he was like an all-black Seeker in G1. Then we have the other arm, which is Stormcloud. This guy is named Stormcloud, who I know as a Micromaster, to be honest with you. Though I think some people know him as different names as well. Sometimes this guy is called Vortex, which is weird because this guy looks more like Vortex, but whatever. We'll call Stormcloud Stormcloud. Then we get to the legs, and the green guy back here, already a leg, is Kickback. I mean, okay, again, to me, Kickback's an Insecticon. And the last one, the yellow tank over there, is Blight, who more often than not, which is a cool name, cool word, but Blight is more often known as a member of Abominus, certainly in Transformers Prime, and is usually a rename that's used for Blot. So this really feeds into one of my big issues with Unicron Trilogy, is the haphazard application of names that have nothing to do with the already established iteration of a character. Now don't get me wrong, I know that people will say, yeah, but this is Unicron Trilogy, not G1 or anything else. I get that, but across many fictions now, multiple fictions, Kickback is an Insecticon. It doesn't have to be G1. Blight, maybe that's a useful one, but like Blackout, we know other iterations. So it is what it is. Nevertheless, if this is your Bruticus, then we have these guys here. I'm going to leave the two legs as they are. We're going to look at each one of these and go to Robot and to their alt mode. But I think the best spot to start is probably with the torso Barricade first. Now, to be absolutely fair, this guy rolls tremendous. He looks very much like Onslaught. I even like that. Listen to this. You can hear his, I assume that these are supposed to be missile launchers. You can hear the clickety-clackety ratchet that I absolutely love. Like I said, the guy rolls really well. I like that the paint pretty much matches the gray here. Like, there's a lot here to like. I just wish the dude was named Onslaught. I think I probably could have even accepted it better if he wasn't named Barricade. I mean, to me, Barricade is either a Micromaster race car from G1, or he is the, you know, police officer Decepticon that we all know from, well, I mean now, the War for Cybertron trilogy or the movies or whatever. Nevertheless, like I said, rolls really great. I don't have instructions and stuff, so I'm just sort of doing this off the cuff. You're going to have to bear with me a bit. But I do like this so far. I'm just going to bring the camera in a little bit more before we get into the transformation. Okay, so now that we're closer up, the only thing I don't like about the vehicle mode is that you can certainly see the head in here, you know, such as life. Down here, pretty much this is the chest section. These are the shoulders. The arms are right here. And the legs are up here. But in looking at it, it doesn't look like a bunch of robot parts under here like that. That doesn't look like a bunch of robot parts. So I think I dig it. Honestly, I think I dig it. Let's try and do the transformation. We're going to take that off first. And we're going to pick this off and bring all of this kind of up over right here. I get that it kind of looks like a mess, but I want to deal with these arms and stuff first. We're going to take these shoulders out to the side. We're going to take the robot head up right there. We're going to rotate the shoulder around, and we're going to unpeg, because it does peg in over a little section right there, and bring it down. We're going to unpeg, turn the shoulder around, and bring it down. Then we come down here. Now, I'm not going to lie, there's a little hinge back here. You have to make sure to push it forward, and then you should be able to bring it up and kind of solidify it, there you go, in place. I can't tell in alt mode if the Decepticon logos were supposed to be on the top or the bottom, so you might have to turn the waist around. I can't say that for sure. Then we come in here and we open out a little section. We bring this up over the front and we extend the leg all the way down and close that back in and turn said leg. We're going to do the same. Oh, here on the other side, I'm sorry I went off frame there. We're going to take that piece up over the leg. We're going to open the back here up we're going to extend this all the way down and in and close this up and turn the leg. I'm going to stand our guy up. Now we have to deal with the backpack next. No, I'm not going to lie. Dealing with this backpack was a bit of a chore for me. So, first things first, we untab the top, and then we take this out and bring it on the side, and take this out and bring it on the side. Then it seems like the whole thing, yeah, comes up over, and we tab right here into right there. And Wally has a gigantic backpack. Boom, here we have Barricade. Oof, trying to get him to stand is a bit of a task though. There you go, a small little adjustment. So the transformation isn't bad, other than I find the backpack to be egregious. Like, there's nothing you could have done to collapse that a little bit more. I'm going to say that for the look of the guy, again, he looks very barricade-y, but like, and I don't really remember him from the show. I'm sure he was in it. I'm gonna give benefit of the doubt and say that the look is a 9. The transformation to this mode it's all right. I just wish the backpack collapsed more. Otherwise, it's a pretty great transformation, enough that I'm gonna give that a 9. Let's do the articulation. Head goes left, right, little up. Well, because of transformation, no real up and down. The arms, they can go all the way around. Really, you might have to take the arm out a bit to get the shoulder all the way around. Can full T-pose out to the side, elbow to 90 degrees, bicep swivel. Nothing at the wrist. By the way, the size of this, I would say, is about the size of a modern day deluxe. Do I have a deluxe here? I don't really have a deluxe here, but it's about the size of a modern day deluxe. Not that that would really be an accurate comparison. Clicky waist. I guess I could turn around. Yeah, there you go. I think I had his legs backwards. And I say that because these yellow pieces should be on the front. My mistake. Ratchet forward and back. Full splits all the way out to the side. I'm sure I said waist if I didn't waist. Knee to 90 degrees. And no toe tilt or ankle tilt, nothing like that. But you could definitely score some dynamic poses with this guy. You could definitely do a fair amount with him. And you know what? Not for nothing, now that I got his legs turned around, for whatever reason, it seems like he is standing better. So I don't know if that made a difference or not, or if I'm just lucky right now. I'm going to say that the articulation is mostly effective. I mean, an ankle tilt sure would be nice, a wrist sure would be nice, but I'm going to say that overall it's certainly an 8. Certainly an 8. So the guy was getting like a 9, a 9, and an 8. Yeah, it's like an 8.5, 8.25. It's pretty darn good. Let's put this guy in his torso mode. So, to do the torso mode, we unfurl, I guess the backpack again. We bring this piece up. We fold the head up. Gosh, I hope I'm able to remember this. And I think we bring this down on the side and make sure I'm doing this right now before I tell you. Yeah! So what we'll do now is we're going to bring this up over. We turn this so that this piece is facing the back, and there's a little peg hole and a little peg right here, and they go on to one another thusly. I gotta make sure though that that's lined up and pegged on, because otherwise it's not really gonna work. Then we straighten this up because it's gonna become like the Bruticus lad's tummy, and all of this comes in, and there's a couple of little rectangular notches right here that go into slots on the arm. I'm probably going to have to solidify that myself after. Then we turn the waist around, and we open that out. We collapse the thigh up so that we have the combiner port down here. Close that back on the thigh. We open this thigh out and collapse it up. And close it back, and boom, here we have the torso mode. I would like to point out that for all the complaining and moaning and whining that people do about translucent plastic isn't very good, Literally all of these ports are translucent plastic, and this is quite old now, and it's held up just fine. Because we have 2 legs done, we can look at our guy looking like this. Not a bad stature so far, if I do say so myself. Not as quite as big as Combiner Wars, but not bad and quite solid. I'll say this, I don't know the correct way to do this. Again, the position that this is in for leg is the exact same for the arm. I'll show that transformation in a minute. And the position that this is in for leg is also the exact same for the arm. So it's, I don't know what they call it here. I don't know if this is what they call power linksing or whatever, but it's basically a Scramble City type of idea, right? Where anybody could be an arm or a leg. For me, because this is Bruticus, my gut says to make this leg, to make the yellow tank the other leg, to make this arm, and you know what? I guess use the other guy, even though he's mostly orange, because he has some brown, put him over here. Because that would be the colors reminiscent for me of Bruticus. I'm not doing that here because I don't know the proper layout. Maybe this is it, maybe it isn't. But let's get those arms on him so we can give a final kind of score overall here. But so far it's pretty darn good at a, 8.25, 8.5 for Barricade. Okay, so now we can move on to the helicopter lad. This is Stormcloud. So we're going to go to robot. We'll talk about that, and then we're going to go to the leg/arm mode because it's the same thing. This down here can plug in the bottom. It's just plugging in the hands down here, which are underneath. There's a little notch where the arms tuck in there, and if you have this hand-foot piece, you can put those out to give you a hand. Right? Which is what this guy's going to become. For a foot, right. For a foot it stays flipped back like it was for the landing skid. That's right. For a foot it stays flipped back like it was for the landing skid. For a hand, it goes forward and gives us a thumb, and 4 fingers. So we're going to lay that aside. Great little helicopter. This rotates, very functional. I like it. If anything, I would say I wish I had more brown so it was more like Blast Off. But because this is Energon, I can't remember what this guy looked like in the show. I'm going to go ahead and give his look a 9 because why not? Let's do the transformation. We're going to bring this leg down and bring this leg down. All we're doing is untabbing this round peg hole off of this peg down here. And we're going to, even when we get that down, we're going to pick off the 2 arms and rotate the waist around. We're going to collapse both of that, and we're going to flip that up. All of this is on the back now. So we come here to the front. When we come to the front, we begin to bring the arms out. We're not going to bring them out the whole way just yet. We also begin to open that up. And then we can untab from up right here and bring the whole thing down. As we bring it down, bring these orange pieces out on the side. Make sure the arms are out kind of as much as they can be out of the way for now. And we bring all of that down to the front. Why is this one not out? There we go. All that down to the front. Great. Now that we got that done, we can take the arms, and there's a little tiny notch here and a little slot on the arm so that when you bring it back, they do kind of go into place. Rotate the shoulder and bring the arm down, and bring the arm forward and bring the arm forward. Take these legs and rotate them so that the blue detailing is on the front. Stand them up, and boom, here we have Stormcloud, who I tend to think of more as a Micromaster, in his stand. You're usually really good at this. In his robot mode. He can take this and it can go in the hand and be like his blaster if you wanted to. I think that the transformation and the engineering on this mold is actually pretty brilliant and gives you a pretty solid robot in the end. I'm going to give it a 9 as well. So with the 9 and a 9, I just thought I would zero in a little bit so that we can do the articulation. Head left and right, arms go all the way around, T-pose out to the side, elbow to 90 degrees, swivel because of the ball joints. Our boy does have a waist, shockingly free-flowing. Legs forward, legs back, knee to 90 degrees, maybe even over 90 degrees. Yeah, you can get a nice bit over 90 degrees actually. Forward and back, I guess, on the toe, but no ankle tilt. I would call this a scout class, right? I would say this is more comparable to a scout class. It's smaller than a deluxe. I would say probably in the vein of like Reveal the Shield, like Wind Charger, or if you want something a little more modern, maybe even like Power the Primes, Titan's Return, like Beachcomber, Brawn, but more parts count here for sure, right? I'm going to say the articulation is also a 9. By the way, if I didn't say it, he also does full splits out to the side. I'm going to say 9s across the board for this guy. Let's get him in his limb mode so that we can kind of move on from him. And to do that, we undo the arms. We bring this all up over the front. We even close these pieces underneath, and we take the whole thing out and down for now. We're going to take the legs right there. Hold on. I just want to make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah, the legs are straight down here, and no, we can actually leave the legs up like they were. We just need to bring down this whole piece here. There we go. Yeah, that's it. We bring that whole piece down. The arms, they need to notch. I just have to find the place where they notch. Pardon the cut, but I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. So what I had done was I had this leg still left in this orientation, but you have to turn the leg around. And the reason I couldn't figure it out is because I know I have a tab slot over here, and it needs to go on this tab, but I couldn't figure out why I wasn't lining it up. My mistake. Now we can collapse the arm in, put that on, and because this is going to be a hand this time, we use the 2 slots underneath here, and we just put that arm up there like this. This is now an arm. Actually, I guess I could do it this way. I guess I can turn this around however I like it. But now that we have him in our mode, we can see Bruticus Maximus looking like this. Not bad, not bad. Now that this is on, quite solid by the way. We can bring it down. By the way, not for nothing, but the arm can go all the way around on a ratchety piece. And now we only have one arm left to do, which again will end up in the same configuration as that tank leg. And now we have our other tank lad, colored very much like Swindle, even though it's not Swindle. This dude's name is Blight. He is a tank, he rolls pretty great. Because these are poked into his hands, it can move all the way around. I guess if you wanted to angle him up, you could angle him a bit. Taking this piece off out of his hand. If you want it to be a foot, you basically leave it like this. If you want it to be a hand, you need to use a couple of these peg holes so the fingers will go down. Now, somehow in pictures this is flipped up, but I find I need to do it like this. I'm sure it's not right, but it's the way I need to kind of do it to make it a hand. Yes, you can certainly hold it as a blaster if you're inclined. We're going to try and do the transformation now to robot mode. Yeah, and then we'll do some scores from there. Pretty much his arm mode, by the way, is pretty much just back to being tank, right? So we bring those pieces down, and we can even flip out? No, we can't flip those out yet. We'll take the blasters off of the arms. You could leave them on. It's just a little easier to maneuver things if they're off. We flip the arms out to the side. We rotate the chest piece up. We bring out this whole piece. We rotate the head around. Oh, you may notice that I didn't rotate the bottom panel up. The bottom panel, there's 2 panels here that rotate. The bottom one rotates up, and then that comes down over the head, or over the top, over the combiner peg actually. That goes into the chest. These go back on the sides and tab in. Then you can rotate at the elbow to give us an orientation that we can use for an arm. Separate the legs, bring down a foot, and boom. In the end, though I don't have his bits and pieces on him, in the end here we have Blight in his robot mode. And I'm going to say the transformation's a solid 8.5, to be honest with you. I think it's pretty good. I did think that these were egregious back here, and they are a bit egregious, but honestly, they kind of help with the articulation. We'll get to that in a minute. In terms of look, I have to kind of give it a 9 because I kind of have to give it a 9. Just because I'm not super familiar with the animation and stuff, right? In terms of the articulation, the head goes left and right. The arms, they can go all the way around and T-pose out to the side, elbow to 90 degrees. Nothing at the wrist, I don't think. No. We do have a waist? No, we don't have a waist. But we got legs that can go forward and back. all the way. We have nice deep 90-degree knee, toes forward and back, but I mean they're not going to be able to give you a tilt. That said, if you want him to get in like a dynamic pose of sorts, you know, the guy can pull it off because he has the help of these pieces on the back as stabilizers. So, egregious, yes. Helpful, yes. Blessing and a curse, I suppose you could say. I don't think that this one is quite as good as the helicopter mold, so if that's 9s across the board, I'm going to say this guy is basically, as well as the other one, right, as well as the other tank, I'm going to say that they're about 8.5 across the board. In the meantime, let's put this guy basically back into, you know, tank mode for being an arm or a leg, really. So we bring all of this out, we flip this up, and we turn the head around, and we untab the arms, and then we rotate the chest piece. I suppose if you want to leave it higher, you could. Maybe you're supposed to. Honestly, I'm not sure. I don't have instructions for this. So I'm just going to do it this way and call it good. Because why not? We fold up the feet and fold up the feet. We bring the chest down over the head. We tab the feet together. We fold in an arm, and really we rotate it around. I knew that was going to come off. I know you can do it with them on, but I found it a chore. Rotate the arm. Basically, these yellow connectors should be on the outside. We put the arms together, solidify that there. We bring these pieces up on the side here, and tab them in over just a little bit. We put that on that side. We put this on this side. We can even angle that down for an arm if you're so inclined, I suppose. And lastly, we take this piece and there you go. Using those two tabs, we give the guy a hand of sorts. But now he's in arm mode, and we can finally see Bruticus Maximus looking like this. And that's right, we have the other arm on now, and again, it can go down and go all the way around. In terms of, let me try and do the articulation here. I don't think there's a, maybe there's a waist. Oh no, there's a waist. The legs, I mean, they can kick forward that far. They can kick back all the way. If I pick the arms, go back, go on. Pardon that falling off, but if I pick those arms out, the legs can go all the way out to the side. I guess we do have a swivel just above the knee, and though that fell off, we do have back here. Let me make sure now I'm doing this right. There we go. We do have a knee tilt. I got to get a couple of things back on here that sort of fell apart a little bit. So just give me a second and we'll do a comparison with something a little more modern. Pardon the cut. You can see them here next to what was my custom Death Source combiner. It was really weird. I know it's a hodgepodge, but it gives you an idea of kind of how Bruticus Maximus scales next to something that's Combiner Wars-esque, right? So it's a little bit shorter than Combiner Wars, a little bit more narrow, but laying him aside, to its credit, it definitely has more mass. It feels heavier. I'll also say this, I don't particularly like that we have to use the feet, or the hands or the feet, as stabilizing pieces, because I do find that they like to come out. That said, I'm not going to mark it down because of that, because this is now, what, 20 years old? The fact that it holds together this well and tolerance this well at this age is a real testament. I assume when it was brand new, it was probably a little bit tighter, and the snug, the fit and finish was probably a little bit better. About the only piece of articulation, oh, by the way, the ear wings go out if I didn't mention that earlier, and the head also has two little round ports on the back, and they go over 2 little round tabs on the back. If I didn't mention it, you're not just holding all of this together by the rectangular tabs on the front. There are 2 little tabs up by the neck, and they go down over the back. I digress. He has a head that can go left and right. I mean, we have a waist, we have knees, we have hips. About the only thing that I could want, and you could probably even get some toes if you really want to, but the only thing I could want is elbows. I really wish that as a combiner this guy had elbows. Other than that, I think it's pretty great. I would also rearrange the pieces and have both tanks be the 2 legs with green and yellow, have this guy be this arm and have this guy be this arm. That would be me, so it would look a little more Bruticus-like for the Bruticus that I know. But as it is, overall, I think that he's probably about an 8.5. He's fun, he's functional, he looks pretty fantastic, and you know what? It all works. Yeah, I mean, we have 5 bots here. It's not necessarily my Bruticus, but if it is yours, this is pretty terrific. Maybe when people talk about updating combiners, maybe it's time for combiners of this nature to get their due as an update, since the G1 versions had their due in Combiner Wars. Maybe, just maybe, it's time for some of the Unicron Trilogy guys, combiners, to get their update. Time will tell. But until then, this is still pretty excellent. And here we are, and here they are once again. So let's kind of get the ugly out of the way first. I don't care for the haphazard misnaming of all of these characters. I would accept it more if we had more brown instead of orange here and they were repositioned, so at least it looked like Bruticus. At least then I'd say, we have the spirit of Bruticus. As it is, it's not bad. The head sculpt is pretty Brutici, if you will. And I think that Barricade really does sort of encapsulate Onslaught quite well. I'm okay with the yellow and the green colors. I'm even okay with the gray and purple down here because this is obviously a vortex. This guy, I wish he had more brown. It's as simple as that. In terms of the individual bots, I think that the 2 helicopters are terrific as helicopters and as bots. I think the 2 tanks, they're okay. They do have the kibble on the back, which is a bit obtrusive and a nuisance. However, you can also use it to help you get some dynamic poses. So it's a bit of a blessing and a curse, if you will. And then the main torso, I think, is okay for Bruticus. I wish that this collapsed a bit better as a chest. I wish that this collapsed a bit better as a backpack in individual robot mode. Here's the thing, while I don't care for the fiction and I don't care for the haphazard naming of the characters, I do think that this is a pretty great combiner, and I don't even mind the translucent parts. A lot of people complain about that, but I have no issue with translucent plastic. It's as solid as any others. And this proves it, because all these years later, this thing still holds up quite solid, quite tight. About the only improvement that I could see for combined mode would be if we had elbows, proper elbows, and maybe there's a way to kind of finagle the transformation a little bit to get fan-moded elbows. I don't know that. I didn't look into it that deeply. And arguably, maybe he should be just a little bit bigger. Nevertheless, if this is your Bruticus of choice, if Bruticus Maximus is your Bruticus of choice, I think he's pretty great. And I would even argue, while it's not for me, while it's not my era, I would even argue that if any combiners are going to be redone, updated, I think all the G1 guys, we've had ours, we had Combiner Wars, and that was wonderful. I think it's time, if anything's going to get updated, I think it's probably time for these guys to get updated. And why not begin with Bruticus Maximus? Let me know what you think about the original Bruticus Maximus. Let me know if you think he's ripe for an update. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you're at it, hit the subscribe button, man. Stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel. And don't forget for 1 second, please and thank you, that somehow, someway, each and every single solitary day, you right there, you do make a difference in the world, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way, right here, inside the videos.